All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are talking about a kitchen tool that is getting a ton of attention lately, and for good reason, carbon steel cookware. We're going to break down what it is, why so many people are calling it a non-toxic solution, and whether it might be the right fit for your kitchen.
So, let's kick things off with a question I'm pretty sure you've asked yourself, probably while staring at a little scratch on your go-to non-stick pan. I mean, we love how easy they are, but there's always that little voice in the back of your head wondering, are they actually safe?
Yeah, that concern really boils down to something called forever chemicals. You see, before 2014, most nonstick pans were made with stuff like PFOA and PFOS, and while studies have linked them to a bunch of health problems. Now, the good news is PFOA was mostly phased out. The not so good news? We're still not totally sure about the long-term safety of the chemicals that replaced it, like Gen X.
All that uncertainty has a lot of us looking for better options, right? And that search is leading many people back to a classic, time-tested tool that professional chefs have been using for ages.
And that's where carbon steel comes in. You know, what was amazing is how simple it is. We're talking about 99% iron and just 1% carbon. That's it. No synthetic coatings, no weird chemical cocktails, just iron and carbon. Now, you're probably thinking, wait a minute, iron and carbon? Isn't that just cast iron? And you are totally right. They're made of the same stuff. But here's the key difference. That slightly lower carbon content means it can be pressed into thinner, lighter pans. A typical 12-inch carbon steel pan can be almost 2 pounds lighter than a cast iron one. Trust me, your wrist will thank you. Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. How does a simple piece of metal become nonstick without any chemical coatings? Well, the secret is this amazing natural process called seasoning. And this slide just shows that transformation perfectly. On the left, you've got this shiny, brand new pan. But on the right, look at that. That's a pan that's been used and loved. That beautiful dark coating is called a patina, and it's the result of that seasoning. It's everything. It's the key to the pan's performance and its safety. So what's the magic here? Well, it's actually science. It's a process called polymerization. It sounds complicated, but it's not. When you heat up a super thin layer of oil in the pan, the molecules literally change and bond to the metal. They create this hard, slick surface that's naturally nonstick and made from, well, just cooking oil. And the best part, you do it yourself, and it's ridiculously easy. First, you just scrub off the waxy coating that it comes with, dry it really, really well. Then, you heat up a tiny bit of oil, like barely any, until it just starts to smoke. Let it cool down, wipe out the excess, and boom, you've just created your very own non-toxic, non-stick pan. Okay, now for the reality check, because while carbon steel is awesome, it's not exactly a set it and forget it kind of pan. It needs a little bit of a different mindset when it comes to cooking and cleaning. So let's get into the good and the not so good. But first, the benefits. The reasons chefs absolutely swear by these things. Because they're thinner, they heat up and cool down super fast, which gives you insane control. They are literally indestructible. You can pass these down to your kids. They work on any stove, even a campfire. And get this, they can even leach a little bit of healthy iron into your food. But you know, it's not perfect. People have legitimate questions, and this one from a Reddit discussion really hits the nail on the head. We know what chemicals we're trying to avoid in traditional nonstick, but what about the seasoning itself? Even though people have cooked this way for centuries, some folks are still curious about the formal scientific data on it. And that really gets to the trade-off, right? To keep that awesome, non-toxic surface in good shape, you've got to play by a few rules. You can't simmer a big pot of tomato sauce for hours because the acid can strip the seasoning. It's a hand wash only situation. And you absolutely have to dry it completely, and I mean completely, the second you're done washing to prevent rust. Okay, so putting it all together, the pros and the maintenance points. How does carbon steel really stack up against the other safe cookware options out there? Let's take a look. This chart lays it out really nicely. You can see carbon steel and cast iron are close cousins, but carbon steel is way more responsive to heat. Stainless steel is amazing and super low maintenance, but you're not getting any kind of nonstick surface. And a good ceramic pan is a decent non-toxic choice, but that coating just isn't going to last as long as a well-cared-for piece of metal. So at the end of the day, choosing carbon steel is about more than just dodging chemicals. It's about investing in a high-performance tool that you have total control over. It's a pan that actually gets better and better the more you cook with it. Which really leaves us with this one last thought. We're all paying so much more attention to what we put in our bodies, right?
So doesn't it make sense to pay just as much attention to what we cook it in? Are you ready to choose a pan that can truly last a lifetime?